unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This episode is brought to you by White Cloud Coffee Roasters, where every bean tells a story of adventure. Visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the code CREATIVITY.
Welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Your World of Creativity. We travel around the globe talking to creative professionals everywhere about turning ideas into impact. And just in the last few episodes, we've gone from New York to Geneva to Brisbane, Australia. And we're stamping our creative passport in LA today to talk with clarinetist David Singer. David, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mark.
And not only a great musician, but now the author of a terrific memoir, From Cab Driver to Carnegie Hall. What a great, provocative title.
Thank you. It's very appropriate for my life.
Yes. Included is one story where in one day you were driving the cab and playing at the White House for President Carter. A momentous, sort of pivotal day.
Actually, the day began with a train trip to Washington, D.C. to play at the White House. I was one of 6 people asked to perform. We had participated at the Marlboro Music Festival, which is in the summertime. Musicians like Yo-Yo Ma and just some of the biggest icons, and also some of the younger players, and I was quite young at the time, was asked to play in a group for Jimmy Carter as he was throwing a kind of a party for members of Congress. But this was a concert. It was not a background music at a dance or anything like that. So we performed there at the White House and met President Carter and Rosalind. But I then had to go back to New York City because I had a night shift to do driving a cab. So this was a kind of story that repeated itself. I performed with the actress, I guess you'd call her an actor, or they want to be called Stockard Channing. Stockard Channing was in Grease, was in The West Wing, the TV show, 6 Degrees of Separation at Lincoln Center in New York. So she was a big-time actress, and the play was called The Lady and the Clarinet. And so, of course, she was the lady and I was the clarinet. And it was a story, just the two of us I was on stage the whole time. And so it doesn't matter what the story was, but it was just basically the two of us. So it was a big thing. And I remember after the performances, I lived kind of far away from the theater, which is in Connecticut, and I was living in New York. But my car was so broken down, it could barely run. And it was wintertime. My windshield wipers didn't work. And I had, the anti-smog, whatever, the windows would get all frosted. So I went from performing and acting and play with Stockard Channing and met people like Leonard Bernstein after the play. That's a funny story that I've written in my book. And then get in my car and squinting and hoping that the tires didn't come off and trying to see through the snowflakes coming down on the window, on the windshield, and trying to get home. Okay. It was just, my life went from the penthouse to the outhouse.
Well, I think that I can't help but say, and we were talking earlier, but this idea that, he's made it. He's played at the White House. He's played at Carnegie Hall. He's on Broadway. And yet you tell the stories that we can all relate to, that some days you just got to get through the day. You just have to do what you do, even though you think you're accomplished, you think you've made it, and you're doing what you love, but you still have to make ends meet.
Yeah. You have to pay the rent. When my daughter was born in 1979, I was with her for the first couple of weeks. And then my group called Orpheus Chamber Orchestra, where we started playing for free in 1978, we had a last-minute opportunity to substitute for an orchestra from Eastern Europe that had canceled. It was a big success. And before we knew it, our State Department had booked us for like a 4-week tour to Israel, to India, to places where they were trying. Israel, we've been good allies for a long time, but in India, and we went all over the world. And I came back, and that's another story, getting out of Calcutta, where it was just after our embassy in Tehran was taken over. There we were in Calcutta, It's really might make a good movie sometime, but it's a very entertaining. People tell me it's entertaining. There are funny stories, and it's a good read. That's what I'm hearing, and I'm very grateful for the response so far.
Yes. And the trials and tribulations of just the struggle of an artist is one thing. But if we take the story even further back, some difficult times in your childhood, some stories of abusive relationships in your family, not always the support a young musician needs or any child deserves. Tell us how that affected you.
When you're young, probably goes back at least till from when I was 4 or 5 years old. It was a difficult time for me to come to grips with it. I faced my dad at the end. I asked him at the end of his life, I asked him if his dad had beaten him, and he was taken aback. And he said, "No, why did you ask me such a question?" And so I said, "Well, if your dad didn't beat you, why did you beat me?" And so that was a step in not getting over it, but being able to understand. Another part of my book goes into the fact that both my parents were from Eastern Europe. My mom, just as a young girl, and her parents ran from the Russian Revolution and came to this country and had to experience the depression, being out of work, moving from one place to another, not having enough money to live. My dad and his family, they barely escaped Hitler, who had come to power. My dad was in Hungary with his parents, 10-year-old boy he was a stutterer. He was clinging to his mother's skirts as a 10-year-old. But then, a decade later, he enlisted in the army and fought the Nazis and was awarded a Bronze Star. But he came back with a kind of what must have been PTSD. He had such a he could be wonderful. That's the thing that's so confusing when it happens to people from your own family. They can be very loving. Mine certainly were, created opportunities for me. But at the same time, my dad could be a monster, my mom too, but they could be. So that was very difficult. And that was also therapeutic for me to learn that what they went through, they were traumatized.
Yes.
Their lives. Because of the difficulty, the fear, the parents, everything was in an uphill, no money, no job, going from place to place. And so they went through a lot. And so they were who they were and did the best they could, but it involved abuse. So that also helped me. And also I realized you have a choice in life. You have a choice. I remember selling welding rod in Seattle. Now, there's nothing wrong with driving a cab. And there's nothing wrong with selling welding rod. But for me, it wasn't what I had thought. I had experienced big success, but fleeting. One night I was at the White House and then I was driving my car. So I read a book called What Color is Your Parachute?
Sure, absolutely.
And then I learned of something else, a kind of a mantra with the letters of SCORE, S-C-O-R-E. And this really helped me a lot. S stands for self-discipline, do the work, the physical work, the preparation that you need to do, whatever it is, preparing for a job interview, learn about the company, whatever the things that people do, all of the physical labor, and just really learn about everything you're doing. For an athlete, there's certain things. For a musician, there's certain things. So C, concentrate on sending all negative energy away. Anytime you have anything, can be, I have a bad hair day, whatever it is, I don't have to worry so much about that. But that's C. Optimism. Think about, and this is what I do pretty much before I go to sleep. If anything is coming up that I need to prepare for, it could be a presentation, it could be a podcast, it could be anything. Sure. So optimism, think about when you've been successful, or relaxation from fear. Fear, people think, I'm going to be prepared to do this, and because I'm worried about this. Fear doesn't help us really. It can hurt us. So our relaxation from fear, and E, enjoy. Love what you do. And so those kinds of things, discipline, concentrate on sending all negative energy away, optimism, relaxation from fear and love what you do. That helps a lot.
Yeah,
And
these are
it's
great
just-
tools.
It creates a positive energy for you.
Yes, yes. And thinking about as you were growing up and beginning to feel this draw to music, but you also, in the context of your parents and everything you were dealing with, you did have another mentor, somebody you refer to as your musical father, where you began studying at a young age and working beside him at the Vienna Philharmonic. Tell us about that mentorship.
That was part of a magical year. My dad was a high school teacher. My mom was a housewife, very respectable, but there wasn't a lot of money. But what we did one year, and I know that they saved a lot of money from what they had, what they could possibly save. We rented out our house for a whole year and went to Europe. And my parents still had some relatives in Paris, in Vienna, in Israel. And so we went August 1st, 1962. We went to August 1st, 1962. Drove across the country, took a ship across the Atlantic Ocean, went to Paris. But we got to Vienna. Now, still, I was playing the clarinet, but I hadn't done anything, really. I won a talent contest at my junior high school. Maybe it was even elementary school. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, my dad calls up the principal clarinetist of the Vienna Philharmonic. I don't know what it would be like calling Shohei Ohtani or something. And my boy likes to play, likes to pitch or whatever. And I went and played for him. He took me as a student. And part of the Vienna Philharmonic's job is to play the opera in Vienna, one of the great opera houses. And so he invited me to sit next to him, ostensibly to turn pages. And that's where I saw music written hundreds of years ago, which never really interested me. But I saw it come to life. With these great actors and singers and costumes and lighting and sets made by Franco Zeffirelli or some famous design set maker, movie maker. And I saw wonderful stories of love and passion and all different kinds of things, fear, come to life. And I thought, this is what I want to be part of, this world where we take the feelings put out by composers, could have been hundreds of years ago. They were human. So they were alone, they were sad, they were joyous, all for the same reasons that we are today. We love someone, or someone is far away and we miss them, or someone we love is dying. All these are stories of real human stories. I want to be part of that force to help people feel these things.
Yes.
That's what
Well, and you're talking about the emotion, the presence behind the music. And I was curious as you were writing about this, where do you feel the technical mastery? Oh, I won a contest. Oh, I'm really good at playing. But it became the artistic expression. It became emotion.
Right.
Where did you find yourself able to cross over from just the technical, hey, I'm good at playing the clarinet, to I could really express this music?
I was able to express things before I mastered the technical. And so that's what kind of kept me around.
Very
Musicians
interesting.
like, I don't know if your listeners know these names, Yehudi Menuhin, Yo-Yo, and different people. I played and worked with them, and I write about them in my book. So I was full of music and expression, and I hadn't really yet mastered how to make a good sound all the time, but they kept me around. Rudolf Serkin, a great pianist, he was the director of the Curtis Institute of Music, which is a conservatory in Philadelphia, and Marlborough, and had performed with all the big orchestras all over the world. He was about 70, I was about 20, and he asked me to record a sonata with him, a piece that goes on for about 30 minutes, just the two of us. And it's out in the world, and they play it on Sirius XM, the Symphony Hall. So once I got an opportunity to play a lot, then things took care of themselves.
Yes. And I was wondering too, we were talking about mentoring and people who help bring you up.
Yeah.
You have now spent decades mentoring other young musicians. I mean, you're trying to build chamber music programs. I was reading Montclair State, Yale, Princeton, and really helping young artists. Why was that important to you? Not just to say, I've been successful, but I want to reach back and help others coming up.
That's a really good question. So I always wanted to move people with emotion. So my connection with music has always been to help people feel things. And so as I've gotten older, I've realized that, of course, I'm not going to be around much. We don't know how much longer, but so I want to leave something of myself to give. In a way, it's a kind of, I don't know, I don't pretend to be someone who's super religious. I try to be a good person. And so it justifies my existence here to God in a way, to do what I can to help in my community. During COVID, I was out on my porch playing concerts for people. And now I go, my wife, her former husband had dementia. And so I'm performing at dementia centers, including the one that John used to be at. And I do those things. But also, I feel like music, some of the most successful people, Bill Clinton, I played at the White House a second time for Bill Clinton and others, Condoleezza Rice, Alan Greenspan, the economics guy. So they all played and play music growing up. So I was thinking, what impact can I have on young people? So I work with them to help inspire them to be as good as they possibly can, especially through the high school years, because if they get really good, they'll want music as part of their life forever. Not that they would do it for a living, God forbid. I'm joking, but it's a very hard life, hard to be able to make it as a musician. But anyway, but if they love it, they can go on to become who knows, the president of the United States.
Yes,
Many
yes.
of my former students are a CEO. There's a couple of CEOs have been Rhodes Scholars. But they remember, sometimes they remember me and they remember their clarinet lessons. So I have stories about former students also that I've written about the book. And
Yes. Oh, fantastic. David, I want to talk about the process of writing the book too.
Yeah.
My guest is David Singer, clarinetist and chamber musician. So this crossing over from musician to author, this is your debut book. It goes far beyond just the music stories,
Right.
Stories about resilience and family and survival. What do you feel like you learned about yourself or relearned or rediscovered through the process of writing and even doing the audiobook version?
Really good question. I would say, what have I learned about myself? I've learned that I made some mistakes in my life and that I regret. I learned that I've always tried to be a good person, and I don't regret really choices that I made. I made a decision to leave New York at one point. My wife at the time decided she wanted to move from New York to Seattle and take our daughter with her. She had also had a child from another, so she wanted to just take them and move. And I quit everything in New York, my music, and moved to Seattle. And there was no way I was going to be able to do music in Seattle. So I became a welding rod salesman. I didn't know, because I didn't want to lose that relationship. And then I started a program called Music Magic with young children. And through that, I was able to keep my relationship with my daughter, ultimately leave Seattle and come back to New York, taking the program that I had created, Music Magic. And I'll be darned if it didn't help me stand out from, I'm not sure how many hundreds of people who applied for the position of professor at Montclair State University, which is one of the best state universities in New Jersey, right across the river from New York City.
Mhm.
So I got the job as a professor. And part of it was because I had created and implemented a program that did very well. They needed recruitment. They needed help with getting students to come. I was able to do that. And I was there 23 years, and I'm an emeritus professor today. So
Wonderful.
so I've been very fortunate. I know that. I don't think I would go back and do it again. Starting off my life again at 16 or 18 or 20. But it's been very rewarding, and it's still going with the nurturing and mentoring of the young people.
Exactly. David Singer, he's the author of From Cab Driver to Carnegie Hall. And David, now talk to one of our listeners almost as if it's one-on-one. You've had a lifetime devoted to music, performance, teaching. If someone who's listening now is maybe feeling this deep creative calling, but they're struggling to hold on to belief in themselves. I know I can do it with my creative path. I know I got to take care of the bills, as you said before, you got to pay the rent, but I want to stay on this creative path. What from your experience could you tell them?
I think it's important. Every day is important. Think hard about what it is you would like to do. There are a lot of different things. Mark Cuban, you know who Mark Cuban?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So I used to tell my daughter, Laura, when it's pouring rain outside and you're waking up early in the morning and you're tired, what is it that's going to really inspire you to get out of bed and get dressed and go to work and feel okay about it? But Mark Cuban says, no, that's not completely it. Whatever you become good at, you're going to really like. So think about an area of what you'd like to do, and then you have to ask yourself, is it needed? Do you have what you think is a unique voice in something? And that's fine. You can do that. But make sure that I wanted to be a baseball player, for instance. But I thought, really, when it came down to it, and I was in the outfield playing senior league or whatever it was, tense moment in the game, I was going to say, waiting in the outfield, I used to pray I used to pray that the ball wouldn't be hit to me. And that kind of thing. So my dad said, no, it's probably not for you. So think hard about what it is you really want to do. And if you're convinced, and if you've experienced a little bit of success, go over this mantra that I was talking about. S is in Sam, S is in self-discipline, C, concentrate on sending all negative energy away, optimism, O, R, relaxation from fear, E, enjoy and love what you do. Go think about what it is you want to do, and every day take a small step. Make sure you're taking a small step every day toward what you want to accomplish, or what you want to do.
Very good.
Okay? Make sure that you're not dreaming about maybe climbing Mount Everest if you've never done anything like that. But make sure that it makes some sense in the world. It's somewhat needed. There's a way, there's a path. Hopefully you have some connections in that area of what you want to do. But every day, take a small step towards accomplishing your goal. And I did it. I didn't have money. That's why I was having to do all of these jobs to just stay afloat. But I was also practicing and keeping up my skills doing what I do.
Exactly.
And got to a point where I was making a living doing something ancillary, something in music. I wasn't performing like I wanted to, but I was creating a music program for young children, and it worked out. So if I can do it, you can do it.
That's great insight from your experience. David Singer, thanks for being on the show, David.
Oh, thank you.
And congrats on the book and a great life well lived.
Yeah, Amazon, and as you say, audiobook and hardcover and paperback. And
yeah,
so
I'll put all the
people
links
can
in the
enjoy
show
it.
notes. Yeah, for sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much for
Thanks
having me.
again for telling us your stories.
Thank you.
And listeners, thanks for coming by. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, do subscribe, share it with someone else who loves music, creativity, leave us a review, and join us again for our next episode. We'll continue these round the world journeys, unlocking your world of creativity.